In this video, I'm going to talk about how the 8 wastes affect our project and how, specifically, the bringing of materials out to your project site just in time can help reduce those wastes. Stay with us. So the 8 wastes deal with a lot of different focuses of work in a lot of different scenarios, in a lot of different industries with a lot of different scopes. But in this video, I want to talk about how bringing too many materials, so I'll just write that down, too many materials or overproducing will cause this, okay? So I hope that I'm able to really make this land because this is quite genius. So let me talk about this first and foremost. We have been taught that if you want to go fast, you rush and push and panic workers. That you make workers work fast. And that you should do as much work as possible. And that if you add more resources, that you will have more production. Okay? These are all false. All false. In fact, if the devil was real, this is exactly what he would tell you to do to completely tank your project. And I'm going to explain why this happens, and at least from the standpoint of the 8 wastes, why this is a bad deal. When you bring out too many materials to the job site, not just in time you have this, and when you start to make crews produce things too fast, too much, then you have the 8 wastes. So in a CPM schedule, which I can't still today, to this day, find a single redeeming quality about CPM schedules and what they do. Their forward and their backward pass, and this is a technical term, scrunch the work together and increase your work in process or work in progress in construction. This is mainly in manufacturing. But your WIP increases. And when that happens, your overall project duration extends. When you rush, when you attempt to go fast, when you do as much as you can, right? And when you add more people, it increases your WIP. And when you increase your work in process, then you automatically extend your overall duration. And there are some reasons for this because you encounter the wastes. So the first waste is overproduction, okay? And I really like this because overproduction actually, and I'm going to do the second one, excess inventory. And I do want to say excess. Having inventory isn't a problem in and of itself, it's the excess part. But the bottom line is, if you overproduce something, really, like you're following your CPM schedule and you have lots of work in process and you overproduce, now you have lots of materials and things sitting around, work that's getting rained on, damaged. You have a lot of stuff, okay? You have a lot of stuff. So that either comes because you're making it too fast or you've brought materials to the site not just in time. Ooh, this is a good video so far. I like this. So once you have excess inventory, either by bringing the materials too soon or by producing things too soon, then you have to move this stuff. I remember John Kaufman one time telling me they did a time study on a bunk of plywood on their project site, and when they did the time study, not to analyze workers, but the material, or no, it was not time study, it was a time lapse, sorry. And they did a time lapse, and that, I can imagine the video like clicking all over the place. That bunk of plywood moved 9 times before they even took one sheet off of it. Absolutely ridiculous. So once you have excess inventory, you have transportation and you have motion. Motion is not only waste for moving things around the project site, but it also hurts workers because the more you move in distressing, I would say, actions or operations with the human body, the more you wear your tendons, your ligaments, right? The more you sustain injuries, which increases, the chronic pain and increases the likelihood that people get caught up in opioids, right? And have difficulties with their bodies and experience a lot of pain, right? So once you have overproduction, you have excess inventory, and that stuff needs to be transported and moved. The other thing is you start to have defects, okay? Now, defects come from two different places. When you transport and move this crap, you're gonna mess it up, right? You're gonna ding it, bang it, scratch it, drop it, whatever the case may be. But the other thing is, when you're so busy here, you've lost focus on your quality process, so either way you have more defects. Once you have defects in a product, let me see if I can just draw this really quickly. Once you have defects, right, then you have to fix it, which is over-processing, okay? And when you have to over-process, you have the job site waiting. You either have workers waiting on work or work waiting for workers. And all of this is a waste because you could have used the genius of the team. And what do I mean by that? The genius of the team means that we do the proper research and we stop having irregular amounts of work in process. We stop bringing materials out not just in time, and we avoid overproduction and excess inventory, which means we get rid of excess transportation, motion, defects, overprocessing, waiting, because we've used the genius of the team. So do not fall for the lie that more materials and more people equal more production. They do not, because there is a production law that says as your work in process increases, your duration increases as well, because there's so much waste in the individual cycle times, and it will increase or extend the throughput time of any phase that you have in your construction project. So this is how the 8 wastes are directly correlated to a lack of proper management on the project site. Let me tell you how you can get around it. First of all, we need to be creating Takt schedules, Takt plans according to the Takt production system. Obviously, you're on the LeanTakt YouTube channel, so you would expect to see that here. When you do this and you cascade your trades in a nice flow, right, you have your histogram for your labor coming down, and it's nice and leveled. You have leveled your WIP, your work in process, which means that you are not extending your overall throughput time. You're not extending your project. The other thing, and I'll go ahead and mark this with blue, is that when you bring your materials out to the project site, right, let's just take this activity from an example. You will map out that supply chain, but also with a bit of a buffer if you need it, which means that your materials may come from a vendor. They might need to come to a laydown yard, okay, and then they go to the actual zone. So we're not actually tripping over and moving the stuff all over the place. It either comes from the vendor directly to the zone or through a laydown yard to the zone, just in time to pace with the Takt plan. Now, I do not know of any other scheduling system that will allow you to implement just in time other than Takt. So have a Takt plan, recommendation number 1, and build your project off of that production system, not that schedule. And then number 2 is make sure that you are managing your materials just in time, baby, which means that you can either bring them direct or through a laydown. There's nothing wrong with laydown yards. It just means it's a little bit more expensive in the value stream here to offload them, stage them, and then load them again, but you might need it. This might be cheaper than not having the materials when you need them. So these are my recommendations. Avoid the 8 wastes. Avoid them by not overproducing, not rushing, pushing, and panicking, and bringing your materials out. Please bring your materials out just in time. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.